Hello, my dear Sagittarius friends, my philosophers, sages, and priestesses of a high culture. We are looking with foresight and clairvoyance into the nature of June for you 2019, dealing with your first, fifth, seventh, and ninth house of expansion and everything Jupiterian. Out of all signs that I am familiar with, Sagittarius is a distinct sign. They say Aquarius is more unorthodox than usual. I think Sagittarius has, yes, their own unorthodoxy, but rooted in the sort of different planes of life, different planes of existence, dealing with higher mind expansion, philosophy, schools of thought, ways of living, spiritual sort of transcendence. This is Sagittarius, okay? I find them to be the most wild of all the fire signs. So I'll be working today once again to figure out the complexion of June in your first, fifth, seventh, and ninth houses. These were pre-shuffled. I'm going to shuffle them a few more times until I get the right energy. Get centered with them. Thank you for your patience. I guess change and the sort of drive, the lust for life, is popping up there. Okay, we have here 2 cards that jumped out. Okay. Quick cuts. And 2 more cards. Okay, interesting. Yeah. First house. 5th house. 7th house. And 9th house. So, fairly interesting complexion. I would say you carried a bit of the Taurus energy with you the last season in Taurus. Basically the last month and possibly a month and a half have been quite grounding for you, Sag. And you're sort of getting away from that, okay? The Chariot here within the Crowley deck moves terrestrially more than anything. This is Prince of Pentacles energy. Okay, so what I see here is you taking life by the horns, so to speak, but also moving away from the sort of terrestrial nature of your philosophical way you present yourself to the world. A lot of your social media is, yes, grounded, but moving away from that. Okay, and there's sort of a halting effect on your sort of materiality. You may come across as somewhat rigid, yet breaking away from that rigidity, that fixity of Taurus energy, okay? This could mean putting on weight, putting on muscle mass, but also a sort of step away from that. Jupiter tends to expand. Jupiter is your planet, it tends to expand. Now, if you mix that with Earth energy in a sort of retrograde fashion, it means that your sense of self, the way you come across towards others, is essentially reshaping itself. It's in a state of flux, okay? Now, this is very energetic. The dynamic is actually quite malleable more than anything. It seems to me that your sense of self is undergoing some sort of hidden physical change. There could be ailments, there could be disorders of the stomach, in which your diet is not being sort of taken care of properly. Therefore, your physical representation seems to be one of apathy or neglect. Now, this is not a bad thing. It could also mean that you're actually going through some fundamental changes, okay? In fact, you are, at least on a sort of playful way with your relationships and the way you relate to others in a lovely way, dealing with essentially another fixed energy, one of the Hanged Man, okay? Comes out in reverse. So it's in reverse. The Hangman is interesting considering it's an energy that deals with, yes, fixity. There's a lot of fixity going on with your first and fifth houses. And the way you relate and creatively sort of interact with others, even potential lovers or your actual lover, comes off as something that is moving away from unorthodoxy and coming into some sort of orthodox position. Like I said, fixity. Hangman is usually about higher principles in philosophy and sort of letting everything flow as it is. Therefore, there is a sort of restriction, I want to say, in the way you produce or the way you relate to others on a relationship level. There's a sort of newness that has come from a fixed position to one of movement. Okay. So your own sort of philosophies and the way of approaching your relationships, your love relationships especially, have been quite unorthodox. They usually are, or based at least on some sort of principle philosophy that you Sagittarius have. Now, usually there is a built-in fight or flight dynamic with that fire energy you have with Jupiter. Okay? Therefore, it's slow moving, but once it makes its sort of revolution, then it tends to really sort of shake things up. This also could have to do with the sort of current Jupiter cycle. I'm not too sure if it's in retrograde right now, but if it is, I mean, double check. There could be some sort of reversal or second doubt or second questioning of your own principles and trying to get back in the flow of relationships. So needless to say, you might come across as somewhat in doubt, in regrets, with some of the physical manifestations and how you represent yourself to potential lovers and mates, because your sort of outer self and your own core philosophy and your own sort of way of relating has changed so much, and will change so much during this month. And there will be a lot of, I would say, focusing on negative cycles of regret and shame. But that's okay. I mean, embrace your unique sort of experimentation. It seems like there's a lot of experimentation going on with your first and fifth houses, okay? So your own sort of self-representation within love relationships essentially has not really sort of come to really good fruition. There seems to be a lot of blockages with any potential relationships with Taurus or, you know, anything earthy, Capricorn, Virgo, if you met any of those people, or Aquariuses. There essentially is some experimental sort of newness that is not really fulfilling your current astrological complexion within June 2019, Sagittarius. However, there is a great propensity for lust, for strength, for animosity, for primal urge. You need to express yourself through your relationships and possibly just friendships in general. You might be quite open to friends with benefits right now, pushing essentially and mastering a sense of, you know, that sort of friends with benefits energy, coming up with new passions, or like perhaps there's a lot of dance going on, mating rituals that has to do with the primal drives of the mating call, but unfortunately you've been exercising that in a very strong way with potential others and friendships, okay? Be careful if you're in a relationship. There could be some sort of misrepresentation of the self, yes, as indicated here. The way you're coming off to certain people might be turning them off, especially if you have a significant other. There might be a lot of strife because you are being very flirtatious within your immediate network. For example, people really like you, they're coming on to you. We are in the season of Gemini right now. There's a lot of flirtation, as well as the overall heat of the northern hemisphere is rising. The Mercury is rising, so they say. Not that seventh house has to do much with Mercury, but I'm just saying that Mercury is definitely in the sort of forefront of the astrological complexion. Everything is everything is in Gemini, and excuse my expletive. Let's move on. 1 second. Yes, let's move on. Ninth house matters. Ninth house matters. There's someone around your ninth house. Okay. Der Kaiser, and this is a German deck. This is the Empress energy. Okay, it's all about the regulation of certain ways of expressing emotional content. The Empress demands loyalty. It also demands truth in a way, and there's a natural inclination to the balancing of dark and light, as seen with the two moons here and down here. And an appreciation for, well, not the demonic, but the darker aspects that seem to be encompassing emotional content. A lot of your emotional sort of ways of expressing emotion are in ninth house matters, which is philosophy, expansion, foreign travel. All these things have to do with essentially some deep and inner need. I think you are in search for traveling with someone with this energy in order to regulate some sort of foreign affair, okay? Or make it happen. You could be traveling with a lover. At the same time, this can come as a surprise, some sort of new departure, if not physically in the 3D, at least on a metaphysical level. At the same time, we're talking about fertility. The Kaiserin or the Empress is all about the ultimate fertility rite, okay? This is about conception. This is about cycles of the moon. This is about being horny at a certain time of waxing or waning of the full moon or, new moon energy. There's certainly something momentous happening since the last moon, the new moon in Gemini on the 3rd of June and beyond. I think the next full moon is actually in Sagittarius. Correct me if I'm wrong. Which means there's essentially a movement of the inner mind and an expansion from the duplicity and the magician-like quality of Gemini to Sagittarius, which is about implementing metaphysical ideas and philosophies and schools of thought, not in an Aquarian way, but in a way of complete expansion and almost fanaticism. Therefore, I would recommend embracing anything that has to do with the divine feminine in implementing a new type of philosophy for yourself. This comes in as a subtle card, a subtle energy too. It's in reverse. Therefore, it is extremely left-handed. If you are right-handed, I would recommend using your left hand more to implement some sort of good new philosophy or change. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, worked ambidextrously and did a lot of other crazy things. It shows here that there is a growth, an exponential growth occurring with the Aeon here, the Aeon. So the Aeon is all about spiritual revolution, bringing in new schools of thought. I feel a lot of Aquarian energy with this. We have Osiris here, as well as the Great Mother Gaia, as sort of superimposed and juxtaposed inspirations for divine manifestation. 2 10s, 20 or 11 if you bring it down. Okay, so this is all about the next step of human evolution. There's something you're going to be occurring with through your communications online, as well as foreign travel or reading books or getting exposed to new types of material through the lens of divine feminine, and also bridged by the general push of Aquarius. Okay, so this is evolution that might revolutionize your capacity to have a lot of sort of promiscuity and free love with others. Okay, I'm talking about complete unconditional love, or lust even. There's sort of a lust for life. This is the title of the fucking, sorry, excuse my expletive, but the title of this current YouTube forecast for Sagittarius. Anyways, let's move on. What links your ninth and fifth houses is a sense of fullness. There might be an interesting relationship you'll find between friends or in some sort of triadic relationship. Okay, I'm talking about third-party situations between you, an Aquarius, and potentially a Taurus or a Libra. But there's a sense of design. There's a sense of the synchronicity of 1111 here in other tarot representations, like the Rider-Waite. Four of Rods is all about essentially liberating the polarity between Aries and Venus energies. Okay, so this is all about striking the line between intellectual and passions, intellectual pursuits and passionate projects. Okay, could be a small community that you are involved with that helps elevate your own sort of subtle divine feminine and your own sort of philosophies that relate to the divine feminine, and bringing it into some sort of Aquarian fifth house energy. Okay, so like this community could be, I see it as like a dance or something, some sort of like contemporary dance, or like yoga infused with Tai Chi or something like that. Would be good for you. I would recommend to get out there and do stuff. Let's see. I'll give it a quick shuffle, and I'll give you like a sort of final cross examination for your reading. So what brings all this energy together between the 1st, 5th, 7th, and 9th houses for Sagittarius? Let's see here. Quick cut. And 1 and 2. Ah, beautiful. Okay. So once again, the Aries energy comes, as well as fire, sort of sun energy here. Third eye, Leo. Well, sort of Leo, definitely fire energy. The three of Rods has to do essentially with going out there and waiting for your ships to sort of arrive, and like taking the Two of Rods energy of indecision, going for it, and like approaching the three properly. Once again, this could be you pursuing a third-party situation and promiscuity. At the same time, there's some sort of mental anguish that has to do with your 1st house, as well as your 5th house of self, and with relationship to others. That sort of experimentation you've been doing hasn't been working, and you're willing to try something new and explore some sort of new venue, Sagittarius. Okay, and the overall sort of underpinning energy is the Prince of Staves. Okay, so this is kind of like Prince of Wands or Page of Wands energy. Going out there and really sort of experimenting with new ways of passion. It seems to me you're searching for a passionate sort of new rekindling of things. You may be bored, Sagittarius, especially with the prospects of relationships that have been weighing down on you. And you're trying to get flirtatious with the universe, trying to manifest in certain other ways. But yeah, those are just some suggestions. Please, if you like this, like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate your support. Thank you.